Srinivasa Acharya was born in 1530 AD on the full moon day of the month of Vaishak in the village of Chakhandi in the district of Nadia. His father, Gangadhar Bhattacharya, was a Brahmin of the Rarha class. The Bhakti Ratnakara describes the event as follows. When Mahaprabhu took sannyas in Katwa, Gangadhar Bhattacharya was overcome with grief and began to cry constantly while calling out the names Ha Chaitanya, Ha Chaitanya. When other devotees saw him intoxicated in divine love for Mahaprabhu, they nicknamed him Chaitanya Das, a name that stuck with him for the rest of his life. Chaitanya Dasa had no desire for the things of this world, but one day he suddenly felt a strong wish to have a son and told this to his wife Lakshmi Priya. She responded by telling him to immediately go to Puri and ask Mahaprabhu for his blessings. The couple left for Puri, stopping for a few days at the house of Balaram Vipra, Lakshmi Priya's father, in Jajigram. When they arrived in Puri, Chaitanya Dasa and his wife paid their obeisances to Mahaprabhu. But before they could speak, the Lord himself said, understanding their desire, Jagannath Deva will surely fulfill all your desires. The other devotees were curious about what desire Mahaprabhu was talking about, and they asked his servant Govinda. But before he could say anything, Mahaprabhu called Govinda and gave him the answer. Chaitanya Dasa desires to have a son. Indeed, his wife will give birth to a jewel of a son who will be named Srinivas. He will be the manifest form of my love and will be non-different from me. He will increase everyone's enthusiasm for devotion. Through Rupa and others, I will bring scriptures into the world, and through Srinivas, I shall distribute them. Once they had received Mahaprabhu's blessing, Chaitanya Das and his wife returned to his home, and when the auspicious moment came, a son was born to them. Chaitanya Das immediately offered the child to Mahaprabhu. Srinivasa Acharya was devoted to his parents. He was fortunate to hear both Mahaprabhu's divine glories as well as Radha and Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes from his father. The two of them would go into an ecstatic state as they discussed these transcendental topics. Srinivasa's mother trained him in kirtan. He studied grammar, literature, and poetic theory from Dhananjaya Vidya Vachaspati and quickly acquired mastery of these subjects. Not long afterwards, Srinivasa's father died. The loss of his devotee father's association greatly affected Srinivas. Made a concerted effort to console him and his mother in their grief. Srinivas took his mother and moved from Chakhandi to his maternal grandfather's house in Jajigram, where the villagers were overjoyed to see him. Shortly thereafter, he went to visit Narahari Sarkar in nearby Srikantha. From Narahari, he learned that Mahaprabhu would shortly be ending his earthly pastimes. This news made Srinivas determined to see the Lord before it happened. He quickly returned to Jajigram and took permission from his mother to make a trip to Puri. He then joined the devotees on the annual pilgrimage. It was the 5th day of the waxing moon. Before arriving in Puri, however, the news arrived that Mahaprabhu had indeed ended his Leela. Srinivasa Acharya fainted at the news, and when he came back to consciousness, he decided to commit suicide. However, the Lord himself appeared to him in a dream and told him to complete his journey to Puri. Once in Puri, he again had a dream in which he saw Jagannath, Subhadra and Baladev as well as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with his associates. The incarnation of Mahaprabhu's pleasure potency, Srila Gadadhar Pandit Goswami, met him and both of them were immersed in an ocean of ecstasy. Srinivas also met Rai Ramananda, Paramananda Puri, Sakhi Mahiti, Sarvabhauma Bhatt, Sarvabhauma Pandit, Shikhi Mahiti, Sarvabhauma Pandit, Vakreshwara Pandit, Govinda, Shankara Pandit, Gopinath Acharya, and received blessings from them all. Srinivasa Acharya stayed for some time in Puri, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Gadadhara Pandit Goswami. Gadadhara then told him to return to Gaura. When Srinivas returned, he heard that Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu had also disappeared. Once again, he determined to end his life, but the two Prabhus appeared to him in a dream to assuage his grief and had him give up his intention. When he arrived in Navadvip, Srinivas was once again plunged into a morass of sorrow at the loss of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vamsi Vadanananda Thakur saw him in this condition and approached Vishnu Priya Devi and asked her to grant an audience to Srinivas and bless him. Srinivasa Acharya was amazed to see the intense renunciation and deep faith of Mahaprabhu's widow. While in Navadvip, he had a dream of Sachi Devi and received blessings from her too. Srinivas then wandered throughout Bengal, going to all the Sri parts of the associates of Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, seeking their blessings. He visited Shantipur, Kardaha, Khanakula, Krishnanagar, Srikhanda, etc. Met Murari Gupta, Srivas Pandit, Damodar Pandit, Shukambra Brahmachari, Gadadhara Das, Parameshwari Das, Janava Devi, Vasudha Devi, Veerabhadra, Abhiram Thakur, Narahari Sarkar Thakur, Raghunandan Thakur. All these great personalities witnessed Srinivasa's intense devotion and told him to go to Vrindavan. Srinivas then went to his mother and asked her repeatedly for permission to make the trip, which she could not refuse when she saw his great eagerness. Srinivasa then travelled through Agradvipa, Khatwa, Maureshwara, Ekachakra to Kashi, Ayodhya and Prayag. He spent a long time travelling and visiting all these holy places before finally arriving at Vraja. There he heard that Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Kashishwara Pandit and Raghunath Bhatta Goswami had all disappeared. Raghunath Das Goswami, Gopala Bhatta Goswami and Jiva Goswami were still living. However, Srinivas met all three of them and received their blessings. He was initiated by Gopala Bhatta and took instruction in the Vaishnava scriptures from Jiva. In great affection for Srinivasa, Jiva commended him to his deities, Radha Dhamodra. Srinivasa met Raghunath Das and Krishna Das Kaviraj in Radhakunda and received their blessings. One day, Sri Jiva heard Srinivas explain a verse from Ujjvala Nilamani and was so impressed by his erudition that he bestowed the title Acharya upon him. Jiva also gave the title Thakur to Narottama and Shamananda name to Dukhi Krishna Das. Jiva ordered Srinivas to tour the sites of pilgrimages in Braja area with Raghava Goswami. After Srinivas had attained mastery of the Gaudiya Vaishnava scriptures, Sri Jiva and other Vaishnavas in Braja ordered him, Narottama and Shamananda to take manuscripts of these most valuable books back to Bengal in an ox cart. It was a long and dangerous trip, but they were able to cover the greater part of the distance without any trouble. Upon arriving in the Hindu kingdom of Banavishnupura, they felt that the danger was over. However, the rumor had reached the capital of Vishnupura here that a rich merchant was travelling to Puri with a valuable cargo of merchandise. The ruler of the kingdom led a gang of highwaymen, and when he heard that a cargo of great value was passing through his kingdom, he asked an astrologer to divine the truth of the rumors. The astrologer confirmed that this was indeed a cargo of great value. The king immediately sent a group of robbers to steal it, specifying that they should kill no one. The robbers first worshipped the goddess Chandi, then sent out a spy who returned to tell them that everyone in the group accompanying the ox cart was sleeping in exhaustion after eating their night meal. The robbers thought that this was surely Chandi's mercy that a golden opportunity like this had come their way. They seized the ox cart and the books, thinking they were gold and jewels, and turned them over to the king. When Vishnupura's king saw the large chest, he was delighted at the prospect of finding a large amount of valuables inside. How disappointed he must have been to see nothing but books inside. He turned to the astrologer and asked him how he could have made such a mistake. The astrologer answered, I cannot understand it. Every time I made my calculation, it came up with the same conclusion. This chest is full of priceless jewels. It is incredible. I don't know why my calculations have gone wrong. The mere sight of the holy books had a purifying effect on the king. This king is King Birhambar of this place. We are in his kingdom. So be careful any valuables you have. However, and he regretted having stolen them. Indeed, he desired to meet with the Acharya of the books. The next morning, Srinivasa, Narottama and Shamananda awoke to find the chest of the books missing. They searched everywhere, but when they failed to find any clue to the books' whereabouts, they felt so depressed that they considered killing themselves. Some local villagers saw the distressed condition of the three Vaishnavas and immediately suspected the robber king, Virahambira. Srinivasa made some further investigations and was assured that he would be able to find more information about the king himself. The three Vaishnavas felt some hope and abandoned their suicidal intentions. Srinivasa Acharya decided to remain in Vishnupura in the hope of finding the books, but he sent Narottama to Keturi and Shamananda to Orissa. While staying in Vishnupura, Srinivasa heard from a Brahman named Krishna Vallabha that Virahambira liked to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam and daily attended classes. On the next day, Srinivas went with his Brahmin to the hall where the Bhagavat classes were held. The Brahmin introduced Srinivasa to the king as a great Vaishnava, and the king indeed observed the characteristics of a great person in him and was attracted to him. The king expressed a desire to hear Srinivasa speak on the Bhagavat, and Srinivasa agreed, thinking that this might be a good opportunity to recover the books. So he started to give lectures on the Bhagavat on a daily basis. The king was enchanted by Srinivasa's unprecedented explanations of the Bhagavata in a sweet voice. Srinivasa Acharya primarily preached Mahaprabhu's Dharma through speaking on the Bhagavat and Kirtan, while Narottama and Shamananda primarily used the medium of Kirtan. The style of Kirtan that these three Acharyas used were named Manohara Sahi, Garanahati and Reneti. Virahambira arranged for a secluded dwelling to be given to Srinivasa Acharya. One day, when he had the opportunity to find the king alone in his apartments, Srinivasa recounted the entire story of the journey from Raja and the theft of the manuscripts. The king immediately confessed, showing great sorrow for his misdeed, and had the chest of books returned to its owner. In great relief, Srinivasa immediately sent messengers to Vrindavan, Narottama and Shamananda with the good news. In the course of time, Virahambira and his entire entourage all took initiation from Srinivasa and dedicated their entire lives and wealth to him. After staying in Vana Vishnupura for some time, this place is Vana Vishnupura. If you notice around, this place is totally different from the dry area we came from yesterday. Very green, very serene, and it's quite forestry around this place. Very unusual atmosphere in this kingdom. After staying in Vana Vishnupura for some time, Srinivasa Acharya returned to his maternal grandfather's house in Jajigram. Then he set off on another tour to Katwa, Navadvipa and other important towns in Bengal. Srinivasa respected Narahari Sarkar of Srikhanda greatly and was also very devoted to his saintly mother. When Narahari heard Srinivasa's mother express her desire to see her son married, he gave him the order to do so. Even prior to receiving this order, Srinivasa had received the same command from Advaita Acharya in a dream. Though he felt somewhat ashamed, he realized that he could not ignore the wishes of Narahari, his mother, and Advaita Prabhu. He thus agreed to get married and was wed to Ishwari, the devoted daughter of Gopala Chakravarti of Jajigram. It is not always easy to understand the divine activities of Mahaprabhu's devotees. Only someone who is totally surrendered to the Lord and his devotees can have access to their glories. Srinivasa Acharya started to teach the Goswami books to the disciples in Jajigram. We will be going to Jajigram day after tomorrow on the way to Malda. One of his most important disciples was Ramachandra Kaviraj, the son of Srikhanda resident Chiranjeeva Sena. Srinivasa gave Ramachandra the title Kaviraj after hearing his poems. Narottama Thakur had a close friendship with Ramachandra Kaviraj and even wrote about it in one of his songs, Daya Karo Sri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas Ramachandra Sangamagi Narottama Das. That whole song is basically praying for the association of great Vaishnavas. Sri Shuklambara Brahmachari, Gadadhara Das, Narahari Sarkar and Dvijahari Das all ended their earthly activities. Srinivasa Acharya once again felt overcome by grief and made another trip to Vrindavan. Once again he met the Gopal Bhatta and Sri Jiva Goswamis as well as with Bhugarbha and Lokanath Goswami. And these great devotees spoke to him encouragingly, reducing his feelings of loss. Ramachandra Kaviraj and Shyamananda Prabhu also joined Srinivas in Braja on this occasion. When he returned to Gauda, Srinivas joined in the festivities occasioning the anniversaries of the departure of Gadadhara Das in Katwa, Narahari in Srikhanda and Dvijahari Das in Kanchana Giriya. From there, he went to Budhari village where Ramachandra Kaviraj and Govinda Kaviraj hosted him with great opulence. Narottama Das Thakur had also left Vrindavan on Lokanath Goswami's orders, returning to his home in Keturi. On the full moon day of Phalguna, he established the worship of 6 sets of deities in the temple there: Gauranga, Vallabhikanta, Rajamohana, Sri Krishna, Radha Kanta and Radha Ramana. Srinivasa Acharya performed the installation ceremonies of the first puja. Janava Devi was also present at this great event. After the festival, she went on to Vraja with her entourage. Upon her return, she met with Srinivasa Acharya at Katwa and then went with him to spend some time in Jajigram. Srinivasa Acharya made another trip to Navadip with Narottama and Ramachandra Kaviraj, performing the Parikrama of the 9 islands, each of which represents one of the limbs of devotional service. When Raghunandan Thakur entered the Nitya Leela, Srinivasa Acharya went to Srikhanda to help conduct the funeral festivals in his honor. He returned with a heavy heart to Jajigram and from there went to see his disciples in Vana Vishnupura. He was received by the excited king and the other residents of the town. There he received an order from Mahaprabhu himself in a dream to accept the hand of Gauranga Priya, the daughter of a certain Raghava Chakravarti. Raghava and his wife Madhavi had been searching for a suitable husband for their daughter with no success. They also received the order in a dream to give their daughter in marriage to Srinivasa. As a result, Srinivasa married for a second time. The pure devotee has no other objective in life than to fulfill the desires of the Supreme Lord. They are thus ready to do anything if it pleases the Lord. None of their activities has the slightest hint of material desire in it. Srinivasa Acharya is the Avesha incarnation of Mahaprabhu himself, and his transcendental activities can only be described by someone who has received his special blessings. Sri Srinivasa Acharya ki